Hello, hello. Here we are. Thanks for joining me today. I'm gonna go reviewing some of the items all of the items that you get whenever you're raiding in Meet Your Maker. So if you're new to Meet Your Maker, then welcome. The game is really, really awesome, very addictive. Um, I find it like a big step from the previous game that I played from Behavior that was Dead by Daylight. Like this one is a huge improvement in my personal opinion, while still maintaining their original take on games, which is something that has characterized this company throughout their games, right? You can see that I'm using one of my bases, Bertrand. In order to build this. This is just a training ground. I sometimes do them to test traps and weapon capabilities, etc., etc. So today we're going to be reviewing all of the items that you get to build loadouts with whenever you're going to go raiding a base. In this case, we're going to start checking on the first two guns, the Falconic and the Volt Thrower. The Volt Thrower is the first one that you get. It's very effective, however, it lacks a little range. You can see that if I aim directly at my opponent, the arrow or her harpoon won't even get to them. So you have to kind of like aim a bit. Plus, you only get 3 shots with this. So if you fail like this and you're like surprised, now you are out of ammo. Now the good thing about the Volt is that it hits pretty hard. It destroys traps and armor alike. So in this case, you can see that this buddy here has armor, right? If I hit his armor, the bolt will effectively remove it in one shot, allowing for an easy kill, right? That's the first one, that's the bolt. It has less range, but the bolts are heavy. They are very good, you just need to get a little used to like aiming with the projectile falling off, right? The projectile fall off. Then we have this other one, very fast, which is the Falconic. The Falconic, it has more ammo. As you can see, it has 15 when upgraded to level 3. However, it lacks the ability to penetrate armor. As you can see, whenever I hit this guy's armor, they just go bouncing around. You see? So you can shoot really fast, but you're still not gonna get a kill. While the bolt, this one, will definitely at least remove the armor. Now you can go around this with the Falconic if you get headshots. Like if you get a headshot, you can kill any enemy in the game regardless of armor. So you can see the little head of the guy here. And now he's gone. So that's the main difference between the two. So one has less ammo, right? The heavy one has just 3 shots, and it has that projectile fall down or fall off, right? While the other one, the Falconic, just shoots straight up. You see, like pretty straight, very good, and easy to get kills. Now, the Volt will be more useful whenever you have like a good combination of like traps and enemies, guards, but the Falconic is pretty much the best one when you have lots of guards, because it's very easy to shoot at them. Like they really don't have no chance. Like, and even if they have armor, you can just shoot them so many times. If you don't have like the patience or you don't have the aim, you can just throw several of them in the general direction of the head, and probably one of them will hit. Now, important thing to know about this type of weapons is you have to go pick up the ammo, right? If you shoot, you have to go pick them up. If not, you might run out of ammo. The suit that we're using is the Iron Sight, which gives you the ability to see and pick up your arrows from further range. Additionally, I can shoot faster, 20% faster, right? But still, even with this, you have to be careful with setups like this one, right? In this one, we have a couple of flying enemies, which they're pretty easy to take down with the Falconic if you have good aim. Oh, jeez. There we go, finally. But then the problem persists. If you go ahead and you kill one of these guys, let me restart here real quick. If you kill one of these guys and the arrow gets stuck in their face, they're gonna end up in this type of cubes. You see that one of my arrows is inside the corrosive? You can see it there in front of me, marked blue. So That's something to take into consideration. A lot of players like to play with this concept and make you run out of bullets or arrows. So you want to take that just into consideration, especially if you're just using the Volt Thrower. If you're using this one, you need to make sure that you're not going to lose your arrows, right? Now, other types of enemies these ones, they are the ones that throw explosives at you. They are very heavily armored. They have very good aim. They know how to make those bounce. They're very dangerous, right? So with this, whenever you have one of these heavily armored guys, you can either shoot them in the face with one of this Falconic, or you can simply remove their armor with the bolt. Well, that one just pretty much straight up died. But you can remove the armor with the bolt and then hit them anywhere in the body. So those are your options whenever you're using the crossbows, right? You have two of them. Normally I would not put both of them in a single loadout because they kind of do the same thing. I would definitely not play just with the Falconic. Like if you're gonna use the Falconic, this one, the quick one, I would recommend for you to either use a melee weapon to have an ability to destroy traps, or have the bolt as the secondary. You don't really want to use the shield and the Falconic because then you'll be left with no ways of destroying traps such as flamethrowers, right? So that's all for the crossbows. Now let's go ahead and show the melee weapons. So there's two crossbows or harpoons, however you want to, or guns, however you want to call them, and there's two melee weapons. So now we're gonna go ahead and change our build real quick. I'm gonna change my armor to Kamaitichi, which is the melee specialized one. And we have two of the weapons here. We have the Sledge Blade and the Fury's Edge. So, main differences. The Fury's Edge is very quick. It lets you reflect stuff, which is like its main perk. It lets you reflect some traps. The range, you can see here with the Kamaitichi maxed out, you still have to get pretty close to be able to aim. When you're aiming, wherever you're aiming, you're going to notice that it gets to be yellow, right? It gets colored yellow where I'm aiming. So it has about 6 good meters of range, which is pretty good for a weapon so quick as this one. So you can see, it also lets you deflect stuff, and it lets you destroy traps. So all around, this probably the best weapon in the game if you master it, right? Then we have the Sledge Blade, which is a heavy one, which gives you the ability to not only destroy traps and obviously enemies at a good range and slice them real nice, very Mortal Kombat worthy. So it also has a lot more range, and it lets you destroy armor. So that's the only downside of the Furies. The Fury's Edge does not let you destroy armor. Let's go ahead and die against this guy. Come on. As you can see, I hit him, and I was not able to kill him until I hit him in the head, right? Well, a headshot will normally kill. So if you want to kill one of these guys that are heavily armored, you'll either have to aim to the head or go around them and hit them in the back. Now with the sledge, the bigger one, with this one, it's not necessary because even if you connect on the armor, you're still gonna be able to remove it. You see that I removed the armor? So that means that this arm... Wow, these guys are really not letting me do my stuff. So this weapon gives you the ability to literally destroy anything in the game. There you go. It gives you the ability to destroy anything in the game while having the most amount of range. It's like 8 meters range. You can see how the dash just goes towards the enemy. It's very easy. Once you have them yellow, you just press the button and he'll automatically go. You see, you just aim. You just aim, the guy just goes forward automatically. So it has good range, so it makes destroying some traps more comfortable, right? So you just need to decide which one you prefer. Now, going back to the Fury's Edge has the ability to parry stuff. So it can parry, for example, these blobs from the plasma cannons. Oh, you can also... So this one's... You can also parry that. You can parry, for example, these guys. You can parry them easily. Get out of here. Then you can parry the Plasma Sentinels with the Fury's Edge. You can parry, as we already saw, this the hooks. You can also parry arrows if you do it correctly. That was not the best way to show it, but you see, you can also parry arrows. Now, be careful. As you can see, those 4 are approved by our Dead by Daylight. I think her name was Amy, maybe. So again, guards that throw arrows, plasma sentinels, the hooks that try to grab you, the traps that are hooks, also the arrows. Now, be careful. Some of these arrows also have an ability that lets them attack instead of all at the same time, one by one. So sometimes the reflect might not work. Oof. So as you can see, well, that was a shame. So as you can see, whenever the arrows trap, the bolt thrower is set like this, and you see that it attacks in a stream more than all at the same time, then your reflex really need to be on point and not move around much after you do the reflex so that you don't get hit by the other arrows, right? Now you cannot parry the following. These guys, the spikes, you either kill them or they kill you. Once they're activated, that's done. Same for this, the pistons, if you have to destroy them before they come out, if not they'll hit you. And finally again, the knives, you cannot parry them, you can only destroy them. And this is the infamous melee weapon killer, which are flamethrowers, which obviously you cannot parry at all. Yeah, like it doesn't even come out. So whenever we're dealing with this, you definitely do not want to be using your melee weapons. If possible, you'll either use the sledge that has a lot of range, like you see the range. I can just be here and press the button, like around here, maybe here. And it just dashes forward. So the sledge is good with her range. This one lets you parry. So depending on what type of traps, you might want to switch between one and the other. Now, very interesting thing. There are some people that like to use both the swords. Okay, me personally, I'm not a fan, but they use the left one to parry stuff, the right one to destroy stuff, and then they do something like this, that is sledge and fury. That is a double attack that basically guarantees a kill on any monster on any part of the body. So you just jump to an enemy and just do right left, and they are done, even if they have armor or whatever. So yeah. So that's for the weapons. Now let's go upstairs. Now let's go for the shield. Let's talk a little about the shield. The shield is by far my most recommended newbie weapon. As you know, anything that touches you kills you. That means that your HP is 1. The shield gives you the ability to tank damage for a certain amount of time. So it lets you commit mistakes, you know, like you can just shield that, you know. So the shield can block any type of damage. It will destroy hooks that come towards you. It will also release you if you have it activated. Like you can activate it at any point and it will just, you know, it will remove the hook from you. Enough of you. Now it will shield you obviously from the arrows that I just destroyed. Let me go ahead and regenerate them. It will shield you from pretty much anything in the game, including falling in vats of acid. You see, it's very easy. The shield will let you commit one mistake and not like that one. Just take into consideration the time that it takes to regenerate, right? But it can tank pretty much infinite damage, which is pretty great. Enough of the. If you activate it on top of traps like this ones, they will be destroyed. So some people like using the shield to destroy. So for example, you're running around with the Falconic and the shield. That way, I mean, you can destroy traps just by activating your shield near them, but that's most traps, not all of them. The flamethrower won't really give much of a beep. Like honestly, it will just... And in fact, the shield duration is not even enough to outlast the fire. So it's really not even a sure way to getting around flamethrowers. That's why they're so powerful. You can see... my eyebrows. So as you can see, the flamethrower did not care and it just kept spewing fire until it burns you down. With that being said, flamethrowers are indeed one of the most lethal traps in this game so far, because I'm pretty sure that they're gonna keep adding stuff. The shield will let you take infinite amount of damage, as you can see here. So those were some heavy mines. All of them, like, I absorbed all of them, no damage came harm. So it basically let you do a mistake. So it lets you play a little more offensive, you know, mowing around more. It's by far the most recommended item for any, like, newbie. And even people that are going against, like, brutal bases or anything of that sort. So the shield, highly recommended. Then, let's go ahead and talk a little about the items. So the first one, the one that you already saw me using, is the grenade. The grenade is a very important weapon or consumable because it lets you deal with situations like this. You see how many traps I put here? Let me... There we go. Excuse me. So whenever you see something like this, and you know that there's a shitload of traps there, and you know how annoying it's gonna be, you can simply just chug a grenade, and they have pretty good range. So as you can see, a single grenade pretty much wiped most of these traps. You can also use them obviously to kill groups of enemies, which is also one of its uses, right? If the person that did the base has way too many of these guys piled up, you can just chug a grenade at them. Like this guy over here, you know? You just chug one grenade. Was not the best grenade though. Another use for the grenade is for people that are using something like, for example, a shield. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do it again. If you're using, for example, the shield and the Fury's Edge, then you have a little less capability against armored guards. So the grenade would be a great complement for that playstyle. So you basically have to balance it out more times than not, unless you're like extremely skilled with the grappling hook and parkour, and you're, you know, playing in a map that allows you a lot of movement. Then okay, you can pretty much do whatever, because honestly, the grappling hook is like the best thing in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up nerfing it a bit, because of the same thing. It's just so overpowered. Like, it lets you just go around traps like nothing, and if there's a lot of space for you to move around, then it just becomes a real problem. Now, I'm not sure whether this is not loading, like what's going on. Well then, it seems I'll have to talk all this again, because this is not... Well then. There it goes. Damn, I was about to be like, what? Anyways, so if you're using, for example, the Fury's Edge, the other sword, and you're using shield because you're going like very Spartan-like, right? Then you might want to have some grenades to chug at armored enemies, you know? They just pretty much get obliterated by it, and it lets you go ahead and play with your sword style. Another thing with the shield, this is so powerful and so OP that it lets you even go through cubes. So sometimes if you see like a base and the base has lots of cubes, maybe you can get in through one of them or a few. So far I know that it lets you go through 3 of them pretty consistently if you're using the shield. As you can see, I was able to go through 3 of them, no problem. So it gives you a lot of options. Again, the shield, one of the best things you can get. Best things for me, obviously, I like the sledge, and I like the Volt Lancers, especially because they can destroy traps too, and armor, right? So that's for the grenades. Remember, grenades will always let you destroy lots of things. They're very good. They're very cheap, honestly. There's almost like no reason to not use them. They're super cheap, super destructive, and they can do loads of damage to pretty much anything in the vicinity. Now, the next item is the spike, that little pencil-like thing I have next to my items, right next to the grenades. We're gonna equip them right now. Now, sometimes you'll get situations like this, you know. This is like a typical death room where every single inch is covered in godforsaken traps, lots of hate, you know. You can see here, and you know, some players might struggle with this, especially if there's more pistons. Like I took it lightly on myself and I just put 1 piston up there, but just to prove a point, right? Better players can do a lot with the spike. So the spike will basically just give you a speed boost, an important speed boost. You can see here how I walk. You know, it's just this is normal speed. And then once we inject this, we get all those yellow veins and we can move very fast. Now this is important to note that I think it stacks with the bonuses from the armor, the Kamaitichi. So this armor has this ability that whenever you, one of these abilities, whenever you go ahead and you destroy a trap, you gain a speed bonus. So I can demonstrate here. This is me normally, I attack, and now I automatically have a speed bonus, right? So if I destroy a trap and then I use the spike, I would get a bonus damage and I would be moving at a ridiculous speed. To show you a little what this can do for you, you can go ahead and do this. Spike, and here I am. So you can just swiftly go through things. If let's say that imagine that there's more death pistons, just bring some grenades. Grenades will destroy at least 3-4 of those pistons in a row. And yeah, like the spike is it's also a great item. Some people like it, some prefer to stick to like the shields and Phoenix and stuff like that. But anyways, finally we have the Phoenix pod. The Phoenix pod, I'm not really gonna like demonstrate it a lot. It's very simple. Like the Phoenix pod will just let you revive, so it's like an extra life of sort, right? So with this being said, you can use it if you're having a lot of trouble with one of the maps. I personally prefer the other 3 items. I especially prefer the shield and grenades because it gives you huge offensive and huge defensive capabilities, but you know, the Phoenix is also a good thing to have around if you know, like to be extra careful, maybe. I don't know, if you like to play it safe. So here we're gonna see the other 2. We have the flash barriers, which are shields, and we have the Phoenix pod. So again, the Phoenix pod will basically let you perish and revive whenever you leave it. So, oh my god, this grabbed me, Jesus Christ. You see, it says respawn at Phoenix pod. So it basically creates a spawn point for you and gives you 1 extra life. Pretty useful, especially if you're going exploring for the first time in something that looks like really complicated. You can just use the Phoenix thingy and get over with it. You can just walk straight through. Sometimes something like this, you can just throw the Phoenix and just run through it and activate as many traps as possible. And even if you end up dying at the end, you respawn back, right? And then half of the traps are already gone. So there's different strategies to approach bases, and you'll probably want to change them based on what you're doing, right? And finally, the shield is pretty much another OP thing, the portable shield. As you can see it here, it just throws a little dome which is completely invincible to all kinds of damage for the duration. Just take into consideration one thing, sometimes melee characters seem to like, so the damage does not go through the shield, but if the damage is done inside the shield, it'll still kill you. So certain things like traps that explode, area of effect damage, sometimes if this explodes and I put the shield on top of it and then get inside, I'm still gonna die. It lets you rush through things too, and correct mistakes, right? Like for example, let's go here. So you can see, pretty effective, protecting me damage. Same as with the hand shield, it protects you from 100% of damage. And it will also destroy traps where it lands. So you can use it as a pseudo grenade if you are out of resources or are having trouble destroying some traps. I'm gonna show you right now. Like, you can use it as a pseudo grenade to destroy traps. See? Whenever you put it, like piston, anything is just gonna be destroyed. So those are your basic tools when it comes to this game. With them you can do lots of combinations and different things. I'm gonna just show you 4 of the loadouts that I personally like using, and they're very noob friendly. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you a trick that a friend of mine told me. Whenever you see your crosshairs turn from white to red, that basically means that it's a secret tube. It's like one of those transparent ones. Trap cube, if you want to call them. You see? So here we can see this wall. Oh, I died. Let me kill these guys. They have armor, so yeah, I'm removing the armor first and then killing them. So as you can see here, like the same thing will happen. You can see this wall, it looks pretty much the same, but you can point at the things and you'll know which ones are traps and which ones are not. You see, this one's a trap, this one's a trap, this one's a trap. I don't know, this one's not a trap, this one's a trap. Oh no, this one's a trap. So as you can see, you can kind of tell where they are. Like, this is a trap, this is not a trap. Not trap, trap. So that's a cool trick. You can tell always where there's going to be a secret one just by pointing the crosshair at it. If it gets red, it's a trap. So now that you know that, let's go ahead and discuss really quick the builds. They are the builds that I use, and being honest, they're pretty easy. I don't think you can really go wrong with a build. But you know, it might not be the best build for whatever you're doing, right? So let's start checking a few of the builds, and that would be the end of the video. Honestly, this covers most of the tools that you're gonna be having access to. You just have to purchase them with the appropriate, subclone guy. So my first build is actually this one exactly. I use the melee build. I use the sledge that lets me do damage to anything, including armor, although I cannot reflect. But in exchange for that, I also have more range. I have the shield that lets me commit a lot of mistakes. Then I have the 2 portable shields and the Phoenix. So this is a very safe way of going through bases, especially if you are alone. You have your shield to commit one mistake. You have this shields too. If you're being bombarded by a lot of things, to like rest and strategize, gives you like a breather. It can also be used as a pseudo grenade to destroy traps. And finally the Phoenix, which will be used at the beginning, so that if I die while getting to the gen mod, I can restart. Or if I already know the path of the place and I can get to the gen mod quick, but then he has a lot of traps that activate after the gen mod is grabbed, then I'll use it as soon as I grab the gen mod. I'll throw it there and then try to escape, right? So with this build, if you like melee, this is a great starter build. Because it's very safe. With the sledge, you will be able to kill anything at 8 meters range, and by doing that, you'll also gain a speed boost, so you are going to be moving faster than normal also. Really a great build, and it allows for easy melee, right? Then if you want to go like really defensive, like even more, you can always just do something like this. And this would be my other melee build, which basically using the same armor, right, the melee one, you'll have the Furious Edge, which gives you the ability to reflect stuff on top of damaging traps and opponents, and the shield. So between the shield and the sword, you already have a lot of defensive power, so defensive options, right? On top of that, you have the shield. So now you have 2 shields, portable shield plus deflection. You are a defensive behemoth. I have grenades here to counter the lack of anti-armor that the Furious Edge has. Additionally, it can make certain areas that are clustered with traps a lot easier to traverse, right? So these are for the 2 melee builds that I use. Now the 2 Ironside builds that I use, the first one is... Oops. The first one looks something like this also. Basically uses the Volt Lancer, which lets me kill or destroy pretty much anything and remove armor from enemies. The shield, I really like having that shield. It just saves you so much, and it lets you YOLO a bit. You know, if you don't know, you're not sure what's in front, you can just have a look. You know, just go in, check around. If everything gets nasty, you activate the shield and just backtrack. You know, extra shields. I like having shields, especially because people creating bases have been becoming increasingly meaner, so sometimes just the one in your hand does not suffice, although this one can easily be replaced by the spike drive if you would like to have a speed boost to dodge some stuff. And finally, the grenades. The grenades are not 100% necessary for this build because already the Volt Lancer will pretty much destroy anything, but it is a good thing to have in case there's a lot of like aerial and acid vats and you end up losing your arrows. Remember that without those 3 shots, you're pretty much out of weapons. So if that happens for whatever reason with this build, you'll still be able to destroy most traps with the shield and be able to kill some enemies with the grenade, at least clearing the path enough for you to be able to escape, right? So this would be like my second build, and then finally this is a special build only recommended for maps where you have a very important or substantial amount of guards, like the monster things, guards. If you see whenever you're about to get into a map and you see that it says like 50 guards or something, like I don't even know if you can have so many, but if you see something like that, then a build like this one might be best for you. So this, what it is it has the Volt Lancer, which lets you hit armor, traps, everything with limited range and limited ammo. You can have the Falconic. In this case, I will use the Falconic because it has 15 shots. It lets you kill guards relatively easy. Headshots are not too hard, to be honest. It has pretty good aim, and the bolt goes just straight to where you're aiming. So this will pretty much wreck any base that depends heavily on guards. This build will pretty much make sure that you destroy it. Plus you have grenades for even more damage, so as you can see we're doing a lot of damage here. And finally the shields to have at least one defensive option. Usually when I'm using my ranged weapons I don't go for a spike drive, to be honest, unless I'm just trying to dodge stuff. So those are 4 very easy builds you can create, and they will definitely help you and make your life easier when dealing with bases. Again, this last one is mostly if the enemy has lots and lots of guards. Remember that the Falconic thingy, what's the name? Falconic Plasma Bow does not let you destroy traps with it. So as you can see, it's not good against traps. So you will probably want to stay away from something like shield and this bow, because then you won't be able to destroy anything unless you specifically use either grenades, shield, or you still won't be able to destroy this unless you use grenades. So yeah, that would be it for today. I hope that you learned a couple of things. And I'll be seeing you next time. I will be putting together a short guide for each of the traps and each of the enemies, so that if you're interested in building cool bases and want to see different concepts, we'll go ahead and discuss each. They're gonna be short videos because I'm, instead of doing like a whole hours long video, I'm just gonna do like 10-minute videos explaining what the trap does, what situations can be better set for them to thrive, and finally how to counter them. Okay, and well, that's it. GG, bros. See you next time.